Hiya, I've just been trying to use MainStage and StreamDeck in tandem, and I ran into some issues and I solved most of them, and I thought, you know, I'll share them with the community. So here are some tips, and let me know how you get on. So the way I've got it set up here is that I've got a whole bunch of synth sounds kind of here, which can be controlled from my StreamDeck, and like that. They can be turned on and off like that. I've also got access to different kind of beats and drum machine patterns that I've set up here, which I can trigger in my MainStage set. Now some of my synths and bits and bobs are at patch level here, but some of them are existing at the concert level here. And in a future tutorial I'll go over kind of how you can actually save different settings for the concert level stuff at patch levels. Now that is tricky, so it will require another kind of tutorial video. Anyway, before we go into too much detail about what I've done here, let's go into some basics. Okay, I've got an empty MainStage template here, and the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into Audio MIDI Setup. So open that bad boy, and here we go. You want to click on this IAC driver. Open that up, and you want to create a couple of ports which are going to handle the MIDI transmission between MainStage and your StreamDeck. So I created two here. There's this one here which is I've called StreamDeck to MainStage, and that's going to contain the signals that are being sent from StreamDeck to MainStage, and then the other way around, MainStage to StreamDeck is a separate bus in your IAC driver, and that is going to allow some bi-directional communication, which is super cool. So once you're all sorted in Audio MIDI Setup, head back to MainStage. I've got a blank project here that I can show you. What you want to do first is drag a MIDI activity light up here, and let's do 2. So these are going to be the MIDI in and out from our StreamDeck. So here you can now select the bus that we just created, StreamDeck to MainStage IAC driver. We can keep it to all channels or just select a single one if you like, and this one is going to be like the MIDI out to the StreamDeck IAC driver. Let's add a couple of labels so we know what's what. Great, and while we're here we can drag a couple of controls up. Let's start with a round knob and a button. Let's set our round knob to StreamDeck to MainStage IAC driver. Let's choose some kind of control here. This is what's the MIDI info that's going to be controlling that knob. Let's set it to channel 10, 21 is fine. Send value to. Now this is where we get our bi-directional values sent back into the StreamDeck. So we're going to select MainStage to StreamDeck IAC driver here. And we can do the same thing here for this button, StreamDeck to MainStage, channel 10. Let's just increment this so it's running on a different MIDI CC number. And we're going to send value back to the Stream Deck there. So that should be ready to be mapped to our Stream Deck. Let's go and map these to something in MainStage. So head to our edit page. Gonna click this on instrument 2, which is my one of my patch levels. We can map some of the controls for this software instrument to these. So for example, let's, I don't know, select volume there, and then this one can be, for example, mute. There we go. So this is quite basic stuff, and as you can see here, this is all kind of working as you would probably expect. Happy days. So now we're going to want to head into Stream Deck and create our controls that will control these panel controls. So in my Stream Deck controller setup here, I've got a blank profile here that I can show you how to set it all up. You're going to need the MIDI plugin. Now this you can obtain from this website here, trevligaspel.se, and it is a paid for MIDI plugin, but it is truly awesome. I don't think it costs that much. Let's see how much it costs. So it costs £12.93 if you're in the UK. Probably, I don't know what that is elsewhere, $15 or something, a bit more, whatever. So it's not a whole lot of money, and it is really, really good. And the guy's been working really hard, so do support him. Cool. So once you've installed your MIDI plugin through the StreamDeck Marketplace, it should appear in your StreamDeck interface. And now we can have a little play around. I've got the StreamDeck Plus here, which is really cool because it's got knobs. But a lot of this kind of stuff will work well with a standard Stream Deck as well. So here I've just added a generic MIDI button here, and I can put a generic MIDI control here. Now remember, we were using, for the control, we used CC10, and it was number 21. So we can now change all these values here. We're going to say this is control channel 21, and we were on channel 10, and you can change various things about how it looks, etc. There are other options you can put in here. For example, when you press the dial, you can assign kind of MIDI messages to that. Importantly, we need to go to this MIDI port setting here, and the MIDI out for this is going to be IAC driver MainStage to StreamDeck to MainStage, and then the in is going to be MainStage to StreamDeck. Great, and instantly it must have received something earlier because it knew what kind of level to jump to. This is good. Let's set up the same with this button here, and we can change this to a push button, but it might be better as a toggle. We can change it. There's a control change here, and the control is going to be 22. We set this one to, and it was channel 10 here. And once again, set the MIDI ports, which is MIDI in is MainStage to StreamDeck, MIDI out is StreamDeck to MainStage, and MIDI in is MainStage to StreamDeck. Great, so that's going to work as well. Let me show you my Stream Deck. So the values obviously synchronize with my Stream Deck instantly. Let's nip back to MainStage, and it should all be working now. So if I twiddle this knob here, you can see that we are getting an MIDI in from Stream Deck, as well as a MIDI out, and the MIDI plugin in Stream Deck is clever enough not to cause a MIDI feedback loop, and you can see that the volume is now working as we expect. The button also works as we expect, like this, and you can change the the icon to have an on and off view in the StreamDeck interface if you want. Now it's working as expected, and it also works bi-directionally, so if I change it here, there we go. It also updates on the StreamDeck. So this opens a whole ton of possibilities to be using StreamDeck to control your MainStage performances. The other thing is, because it's all bi-directional, then these can update when you change your patches. So if I were to duplicate this patch, for example, and this patch maybe has got different volume and is maybe muted. Yes, because I didn't save it. Right, let me check. I'm going to do that. Save that patch. Now when we switch between them, not only are the controls here changing, but they are also updating on the StreamDeck. So it's all pretty nicely bi-directional. Now, there is one slightly large gotcha in the fact that when you go to your perform mode, what I found is that the controls can be become a bit laggy. And there is a fix for that. In fact, on my system they're looking fine right now. That's probably because I've already implemented the fix. But the fix is this, and it's a little bit daunting if you don't like coding and stuff. Go to terminal, and you want to type in this command here. Defaults write com.elgato.StreamDeck NSAppSleepDisabled boolean yes. That bit there, I'll put that in the comments. So what does that do? That tells your Mac to not, well, it tells it to disable kind of that the AppNap mechanism that macOS has built in. And if you don't do that, then what you might find is that the StreamDeck app itself kind of goes to sleep when you run MainStage in performance view. So you want to run that, and that will fix that for you. And I think that concludes this basic tutorial. I'm going to do another one shortly, which will focus on how to change concert level items using patch level settings, which is non-obvious and also slightly tricky. Great, any questions, let me know. Cheers.